Hey there everybody, Mazarok here, and today I want to talk about whether you should or shouldn't play Brewmaster, a continuation of the series for 10.1. Before we do get into it though, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. Thank you so much. Thank you to my patrons for making videos like this happen. This is going to be an early access video for my patrons as well, so it'll be up a couple of days before it is up on YouTube. Discord link down below if you want to join a wonderful community full of great people. A Twitch link if you want to watch me stream. Alright, Brewmaster. So what's looking really good for Brewmaster in 10.1? Well, they did get some minor changes to their talent tree in the first season, and that seems like it's going to be all that they're going to get. But those changes were really, really good, and were huge improvements onto their kit. Brewmaster, in my opinion, is in a lot stronger place than the community wants to admit right now. I've been playing Brewmaster as well a lot. It's a lot of fun. It craps out AoE damage so hard. It's so fun. But its single target damage is really lackluster, especially with the Mythic Plus build. I do notice a very stark difference between what I can do in AoE and what I can do in single target. Fairly big difference there. But the spec is incredibly fun and super survivable, and if you do like the Blood Death Knight style of play of, you know, a little bit more of a ping-pongy health bar, that's kind of where Brewmaster is right now. By managing your stagger, you kind of drop really low, and then you can get like 4 stacks of Purified Chi Expel Harm, and then boom, you're right back to full health. It's like a lay on hands. It's absolutely crazy the way that it's played. With the way that it's healing, it's just a little bit more slower paced. Like, BDK is like bing, 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 like, like it's just constant, where Brewmaster's a little bit more of a slow burn, big up, slow burn, big up, big up. But not everyone's into that sort of style of tanking, right? So if you find yourself not liking seeing your health constantly go down, then bring it back up to full, that might not be for you. The rotation is a little bit more button bloated than most specs, especially tanks. It is by far the most button bloated of any of the tank specs out there, but that doesn't mean that it's high APM, action per minute, because a lot of those abilities have anywhere from like a 6 to a 12 second cooldown, so having to find the balance within playing all of those is very important. And because you're not a haste based spec, you know, Brewmaster really doesn't get a whole lot from haste, especially because one of the main benefits of haste is reducing the cooldown of Keg Smash, but now that we have 2 charges of it very easily at the end of the tree, there's really no reason to with how the rotation flows and functions. So we kind of focus a lot more on versatility, crit, and mastery, which means that your global cooldown is one of the highest of any of the specs. So just because it's button bloated doesn't mean you're pressing a lot of buttons all of the time very fast. It's finding the right balance of those buttons, which is one thing that I found incredibly fun with Brewmaster, is finding that zen balance and moving through your rotation, which is incredibly fun. You're incredibly tanky, and you have utility for days. The amount of utility that you bring as a Brewmaster is crazy. AoE stop, single target stop, and of course, you know, every tank has their kick. Ring of Peace is always so fun to use. Right now it's Spiteful Week, and I love, like, kind of bringing a pack into a corner as it's dying, putting a Ring of Peace there, and then all the Spitefuls being stuck in the corner. It's a lot of fun to do. But it also saves, you know, it helps say, it helps to keep the dungeon rolling. It helps keep the Spitefuls away from your teammates and things like that, and that is actually a lot of fun. Now, we cannot go further into this conversation without talking about the tier set for Brewmaster. Now, the tier set for Brewmaster in 10.1 is something. Blackout kick damage is being increased, which, whatever, most of your damage is not blackout kick to begin with, so it's kind of blah. I mean, it is an increase in damage, so we take it. But the tier set revolves around Elusive Brawler and dodging. And I have been testing this on PTR, and I could not for the life of me tell you if this is actually fucking good or not. You are going to be dodging more attacks. It's no question about it. At the end of the day, you're going to be dodging more attacks. You're going to be getting non-resets on your Elusive Brawler. So, like, once you get up to a certain point, you know, dodging an attack has a 10% chance to make sure that it doesn't reset the increased dodge that you gained, which is really, really good. But the problem with that entire tier set is there are so many attacks that you can't dodge in the game, and those are usually the ones that you want some sort of mitigation for, so this isn't helping that at all. Like, it's going to help with white swings along the way, and I think this tier set's going to see more value in the higher up keys that you go, because you're just going to be able to dodge a lot more auto attacks that are coming in, which is a very good thing to be doing, and is good mitigation, which is why there's this balance of yin and yang of like our like back and forth, where I don't, this has a lot of potential, but at the same time it's like the attacks I want to be dodging are normally undodgeable. So I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm really not a fan of a tier set being revolved around dodge. I like how they took a chance and they made a tier set revolving around the mastery of Brewmaster. I think that's actually pretty interesting. I just don't like the way that it's being executed very much, versus like the current tier set in 10.0 has a clear-cut distinction and a clear-cut synergy with as many talents as possible, with Gaiplin's Brew, the increased stagger, with the increased stagger purification and things like that. It all really works well with one another and increases your tankiness tremendously, versus this one is kind of RNG dodge based, and I'm not a fan of that. But that doesn't mean that Brewmaster is really bad, because if you look at the current state of tanks in World of Warcraft right now in Season 1, it's not the strength of the tier that's breaking them, like in Season 3 of Shadowlands. It's the strength of their talent trees. Protection Warrior and Protection Paladin both right now are like the two top tanks. Paladin has just recently kind of overthrown Warrior from their current top spot. Not to say that Warrior's gotten bad, it's just Paladin's gotten a whole lot better, and that's because of the talent tree rework. Without that rework, things kind of stay the same, so the strength of the talent tree is where things really lie. And I think the strength of the talent tree for Brewmaster is fairly strong. The tree is great. You bring a lot of great utility. 8% increase healing is nothing to scoff at for enemies within 10 yards of you. Then that always includes yourself, which is very, very nice. As well as all the utility that you bring, your kind of how your spec functions with like blackout combo and things like that. You do have a lot of options for a high skill ceiling, which is really, really fun and really good. And the strength of that talent tree is incredibly strong. Like, it's really good. The thing is everything else surrounding Brewmaster right now is kind of meh. Like, I'm not going to be super excited to get tier so far next season. Like, that's a kind of really big one. There doesn't seem to be many, like, really crazy weapons. There is the two-handed polearm, but Brewmaster historically has liked to have two one-handers and not one two-hander. So there's a lot of things to be seen on how things are going to function, but if Brewmaster is very unique in the way that it plays, and the playstyle is incredibly fun, and you can also just deal stupid amounts of AoE damage, which is really, really fun. So those are the reasons why you should or shouldn't play Brewmaster. It is really dependent onto you. I think they're going to be a very strong spec going into 10.1. I just think there's going to be stronger specs, but I also know there's going to be much weaker specs going into 10.1 as well. So choice is yours. If the class fantasy fits, I'm sure you will have an absolute blast with Brewmaster in 10.1, and I am very excited to be running Tease's Brew in 10.1 as well. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Have yourselves a good one, and happy tanking.